What's up everyone, Talon from the Airsoft headquarters here, and welcome back. Today we have a little bit different of a video, obviously a slightly different format, and my battery's already dying. What the shit? There we go, fix the battery. That better be UPS or FedEx. Oh. Well, that was UPS, and we got some BBs in. We've also got the, what was this, the PRK9. You guys hear the phone as well? Oh my God, this is why I can't get videos done. So I don't know where I left off. So we're gonna keep the intro very, very basic. These are gonna be 5 total things that, in my personal opinion, are some things that I wish I had known about as an Airsoft player before I actually started airsofting. And these can apply to anyone, regardless of whether they're an experienced player, inexperienced player, older or younger player. It doesn't matter what your Airsoft career is. Obviously, I'm gonna be a little bit more involved in the Airsoft industry because I am a retail manager, I am a professional technician, and I also do all the social media stuff. So I do have a little bit more knowledge and know-how and experience compared to, I guess, the majority of airsofters. And that's just my opinion. So these are just some of the things that I have noticed, have considered over the years of me playing, and you can decide yourself if these apply to you or not, and if you want to take any type of information away from this video. So let's get into it, because that was a crazy intro, I think. Number one, as far as things that I wish I had known about, is that the type of gear that you have does not dictate the proficiency that you exhibit on the airsoft field. Now, what that means is you can have a really inexpensive chest rig or plate carrier. It doesn't matter which one you go with. You can have something really, really inexpensive, and you can run with it for a long time. You don't have to upgrade that right away. Because honestly, in my personal opinion, with that more inexpensive chest rig or plate carrier, whatever the gear is, you are more likely to wear it around the house, use it, get dirty with it, dive into bushes with it, just wear it excessively until it wears out because of how inexpensive it is. And it's super easy to replace that should anything wear down on it. Compared to the guys that are the super cool tactical loadout systems, they more than likely spent a lot of money on just their gear, not considering their gun, just their pants, their shirt, their plate carrier or chest rig, whatever. If they spent a lot of money on it, they're not going to want to get that stuff dirty. They're not going to want to get it super worn because they just want to look super, super cool. And that's totally, completely fine. Most of Airsoft is just dressing up however you want and going and shooting other nerds. That's Airsoft. So you can dress however you want, but for the people that want to be competitive in a sense compared to everyone else for like a casual game or for a milsim, you don't need to get the super cool stuff. The super cool stuff helps. And what I mean by super cool stuff is like the stuff that I have here. These are LBX. There's a reason we don't carry Cry, Haley Strategic, Spiritus, or any of the other top tier of plate carriers and brands, HSGI included, is because they're very, very, very expensive. And honestly, for the type of stuff you're gonna be doing with your gear, it doesn't make sense to bring in that really expensive stuff if we're going to be bringing in the inexpensive stuff in order to have those immediately available for beginner, newer players. So the LBX stuff is going to be the most expensive gear that we're going to be bringing in because of, honestly, the level of comfort and for the low cost, the professional assembly and materials that LBX gear uses. So basically just get what works for you and stick with it. You can obviously build off of whatever you pick up, and you can build the loadout system that you want just off of a really inexpensive rig. And you can just get that to work. because you're going to wear it so often, you're going to get used to where the magazines and the grenades are going to be sitting, and thus you can have those readily available, and it's going to be muscle memory. You're going to have those immediately, versus people that, you know, have the more expensive stuff. They're not going to wear it nearly as much, and they're not going to know exactly where certain pouches are. Not only that, preferences and styles for loadouts can change really easily. You know, over the years, I've been more partial to plate carriers, but I am slowly becoming more fluent in the chest rig style. And I'm finding those to be more comfortable for me personally. And that's just, as you grow, you're gonna accumulate to different styles. So if you stay with cheap, then you can continue to collect and evolve. And tip number 2 is be conscious of the guns and gear brands that you are going to be purchasing before you make that purchase. So do the research, whether it be a YouTube video or a blog, or even looking at the comments section, because everyone does have a smartphone device or a tablet or a laptop. They are going to be very quick to input their own experiences and their own information into the comment section of those YouTube videos or even those blogs. So look out for those and do the research. When I first started, I saw a brand that was actually 2 brands that were really, really inexpensive. You know, that was my first kind of middle tier airsoft rifle, so I was willing to spend a little bit more, but from some of those higher tier brands as were advertised and they were on sale, I thought, ooh, that's a really good sale, and I picked those up. Unfortunately, I didn't do enough research in order to realize that they were coming from a not so good manufacturer, and thus I had quite a bit of issues later on down the road, you know, after even a little bit of wear and tear on those internal systems. So here at the Airsoft headquarters, we try to be really upfront as far as the brands that you should be staying away from, and we try to tell you of the brands that we do carry what is going to work really, really well. Obviously, we do have our personal preferences and we do have our own personal experiences, but overall, we do know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And we try to relay that information to our player base. Also, while you're doing your research, make sure to vet your sources before you take their information. And what that means is, especially when I was doing research on some of my first rifles, is the type of, the reviewer would be a sponsored player from a larger brand, and thus are going to make the content that they create around that product to make it seem better than it actually is. So they're gonna tell you all the awesome things it can do, all the awesome things that come with it, and really try to sell that product. But they're not gonna tell you the longevity or performance of that rifle or gear, whatever, and it's not going to pan out really well for you in the long haul. So be aware of that. You know, here on this channel, I'm not sponsored by anyone. Of the product reviews that I have done, none of them have been sponsored by those brands. They're all just things that I really enjoy. They're things that I usually use, or there's something new that I think, you know, other people would benefit from the type of overview videos that I create for them. So just be aware of your sources. Make sure you do a lot of research. And that was number 2. Number 3 is that YouTubers like to make airsoft clips way better than they actually are. And this is something that I have learned from, you know, over the couple of years of having my own action cameras and then eventually getting use of the YouTube channel here. So what usually happens is that we'll use some of the bigger names like Navrich. Navrich will be out for, you know, a whole event. You know, it could be a whole weekend, or he could be just doing one casual pickup game. And if he's doing one casual pickup game, that could be a 5 to 8 hour day of gameplay that he then has to edit down to a 10 or 12 minute video. And that's taking the best clips from all this time that has accumulated and making one small little video about it. Even when it comes to some of the other channels that do larger weekend milsims, usually they're only 2 or 3 or 4 parts of the entire weekend. So Airsofting gameplay is not super glamorous. It can be boring and it can be slow, so be aware of that. Don't go into things expecting that they're going to be super awesome, super fast paced. And in fact, you don't need to get action cameras right away for your own stuff. I have to wear action cameras because that's my job as a social media creator, content creator, whatever you want to describe me. I'm not an influencer. I know that I am not making super awesome content. In fact, when I first started getting action cameras, pretty low baseline compared to some of the bigger airsoft YouTubers that are creating content way up here. I was way down here. I think over the time of actually having the YouTube channel, I've come up significantly. Obviously, I'm not super awesome, super popular, but I think I'm somewhere right around in the middle. You can let me know down in the comment section below. So you don't need to get an action camera right away because that could be an expense that you could put towards better gear, better guns, better equipment, extra grenades, you know, going to an extra milsim, you're spending that money for significantly more walk-on play. You know, it's not something that you have to spend immediately. I think some people see the awesome gameplay that airsoft YouTubers create and think that they can create that same content for themselves, which they certainly can. However, for a beginner player, because they're so new to it, they're still trying to figure out what works for them. That extra cash can honestly go towards better guns, better gear, better equipment, because airsoft is a very expensive, immediate cost factor. And then over an extended period of time, as long as everything is well maintained and you get some very good brands right away, you know, the recurring cost of BBs, gas, batteries, etc. can be fairly low to where you can afford action cameras later on down the road. So there you have it. That's number 3 of action cameras are not super necessary, and that airsoft gameplay is a little bit of a fake. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Number 4 is that milsims and tournaments are not the end all be all when it comes to a level of an airsoft player. For some reason, players get it into their mindset of, if I make it to a milsim or if I make it to a tournament, I'm the best of the best and I am awesome, which is not super accurate. The intention of airsoft is to have fun. Just because you make it to a milsim or you make it to a tournament, that doesn't make it to where you are eligible to be a sponsored player or that you're somehow deserving of all these super, super cool things. That's not necessary. Just because you spent a lot of money doesn't mean that you deserve a sponsorship. I'll let you right now, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars and I am not sponsored. Nor do I really want to be sponsored. I mean, it would be cool to get some cool things to review or to create content with or have available here in the store, but it's not something that I really need to go out and have readily available. The intent of airsoft is just to have fun. That's really it. You don't need to always go to a milsim event representing this brand, these companies, knowing X, Y, and Z people. You should go to milsims or tournaments or casual play with the same type of intent, which is just to have fun. Go with the people that you enjoy going with, go because you enjoy that play style, and go because you genuinely want to have fun. That's what it should all be about. And then number 5, get the gear that you want to get. Now that doesn't mean go with Speed QQB, Cry, Matrix, yada, yada, yada. You don't, that's not what I mean. Get the loadout that you want yourself. And I know that's kind of contrary to some of the things that I have told some walk-on players, especially when it comes, or not walk-on players, beginner players. When it comes to beginner players, my ultimate suggestion is always going to be go with an M4 for your first choice, get a chest rigger plate carrier that has multiple pouches on it, and then spend whatever money on whatever type of eye and face protection is comfortable with you. That way, you can get onto the airsoft field, you can get used to it, you can get more experience, get comfortable with it, and then you can start to get the loadout and the gear that you really, really, really want. Now, that could be a full speed QB outfit with a battle belt, micro line and tank, and a HPA tap pistol. Awesome. You could also go super hardcore milsim, where you have cryo precision everything, and you only travel around the US and do super hardcore room clearing, breachy, objective-based stuff. Awesome as well. Nothing wrong with that. Or you can even be somewhere in the middle. You want to look like a Wild Wild West cowboy? You want to have post-apocalyptic? You want to do some type of Fallout Vegas style? You want to dress up as a giraffe in a onesie while wearing orange gear? Awesome. Do what you want to do. Get the gear that you want to have, and then get the guns that you want to have as well. But that is something that I would suggest getting later on down the road. As always, as a beginner player, get the basics, get comfortable with airsoft, know that you want to continue to airsoft and you want to spend the money to get what you want, then you can get that. What I unfortunately see the most is people will purchase the best of the best of both extremes and then be really, really disappointed when they find out that they're not good at airsoft. Sorry. I'm sorry you spent $1,000+ on all this gear and you're unhappy because you're not getting super awesome kill streaks. Sorry. What you should have done is you should have been able to play a little bit more and then get comfortable with the sport, know the field and the player base that's going to be there, and then you can get the gear that you really, really want. It's unfortunate, but that is a part of growing and learning as an individual and as a player. Number 6. 6 was going to be my extra one, my goody one. Be right back. Tip number 6 as a freebie is get yourself a speed loader. I mean, this thing speed loads magazines so fast. It's literally seconds to fill an EPM1 that holds 250 rounds. I mean, this thing is amazing. It makes everything so much easier. That's just a freebie because I was thinking about it, and these are really, really inexpensive. I mean, these are the Belkin clones, which arguably aren't as good, but they still will load magazines, other than the fact that this little rotating handle doesn't hold in place. So long as you're aware of that, for $26 for a speed loader that holds 1,000 rounds and you can fit any M4 magazine in here, and there's even adapters that can fit in here so you can load MP5 mags and AK mags and G36 mags. I mean, you can fill any type of magazine as long as it's a mid cap super, super fast. So tip number 6, grab yourself one of these. Makes things way, way easier. So sorry about how long the video took. I know that I rambled for quite a bit, but I did have quite a lot to think about and information to give you guys. So if you guys have any further questions, put them down in the comment section below. As always, like and subscribe. You guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.